I'm sure many of you already know the incredibly successful and incredibly catchy songs from the DreamWorks series Trolls. It has honestly blown up with the latest new movie, and honestly, this is a kids show, a kids series, and I'm genuinely happy that it's gotten so big that even adults are starting to enjoy it because it's really fun and it's really family friendly. But there is something about this series that is not family friendly, which is a doll that was released a couple years ago that I want to take a deep dive into today. Is this doll really inappropriate, or are people overreacting? Let's talk. Honestly, very recently, I've just started getting into Trolls, and I'm not gonna lie, I definitely got into Trolls because of TikTok. Velvet and Veneer, the songs, the cosplays, the animations, everything was just all over the place when this movie came out. Still, it is so hyped up, and I see it everywhere. So as I was scrolling on TikTok looking for more amazing cosplays and more fan art and whatnot, I came across this video.
Never heard before, and if you look down here, I figured a video was the best way, so I just touched her tummy and she's gonna sing for a minute. But down here is a button right here on her privates, and if you push those, she makes these sounds. Boop.
This video is an adult mother who has bought their child this puppy doll, and they noticed something very weird about this doll. So let's go ahead and first and foremost talk about the doll. This doll was one of the ones that was released to promote the DreamWorks movie Trolls World Tour, and it is called a Giggle and Sing Poppy Troll doll that is 12 inches, and it's honestly aimed at children who are 4 or older, and it's supposed to just giggle when she's tickled, which is innocent enough. It's like the Tickle Me Elmos. I had one as a kid. It's genuinely a cute toy for children. And it also has some fun songs, which are trolls just want to have fun. And it's just genuinely a really cute musical doll for children. A lot of young kids have a lot of memories with these. Like I said, I had a Tickle Me Elmo, and I even had a Booba growing up. I loved these like singing and dancing kind of dolls and animatronic dolls. They genuinely were a big part of my childhood, and I feel like most kids probably really love these kind of dolls because kids like noise, and I love them. And so you may be thinking, well then, what's the problem? If kids like them, why is there a problem? It is simply because of what this user has pointed out, which is that there is this really weird button on, we're gonna just call it, to be family friendly, a private area on this troll. This post honestly sparked a massive just like uproar, considering what this doll shows. I'm not going to show the full clips because it can honestly be a little disturbing, but basically what happens is when you put the doll on the ground like it's sitting down, if you press that button, it does make some noises that when you touch this button, it feels very wrong because these are, not necessarily verbal words. If you are catching my drift, it's more sounds. And definitely as an adult, we know right off the bat that this can come off very inappropriate. Hasbro even put out a message saying that the doll was going to be recalled, so I'm going to read that to you guys now. This feature was designed to react when the doll was seated, but we recognize the placement of the sensor may be perceived as inappropriate. Julie Duffy, Hasbro's Senior Vice President for Global Communications, said Thursday in an email to USA Today, "This was not intentional. We are happy to provide customers with a replacement Poppy doll of similar value through our consumer care team. We are in the process of removing the item for purchase." This story literally made the news, so it definitely was big, and all kinds of people were chiming in with their opinions. So I do want to take a look at some of the opinions and also talk more about why the mom was so just like appalled at this, because genuinely I think that you have to look at this in several different angles. I'm going to give my opinion on this, and I also want you guys to give your own opinion. So tell me down below at the end of the video how you guys feel about this situation. The mom writes, As you know, stuff has been going on in our world about sex trafficking in kids and things that are thrown in our kids' faces to kind of groom them and make them a little bit more oblivious to things that are really happening. Why is this button placed specifically where it is? Why not mentioned on the box? Why does it make such creepy sounds? Another mom, after seeing these posts, then even proceeded to make a petition to try to get this doll removed, and they also quoted saying that they are conditioning our children to think pedophilia is okay, to make them think that when someone touches your privates, it should be fun. This is not okay. She adds on that I am aware that this doll was made for a seated position, but I think companies need to be more mindful on how toys can be perceived by children or used by people with bad intentions. Impressionable and vulnerable is what she calls children. So first and foremost, let's talk about this. Let's stop and just talk about this part real quick. Personally, I don't necessarily agree that they, as in society, is how these moms are referring to the they in question in their quotes. I don't think that society is grooming children. I don't think that these toys were made with the idea that this is, something pedophilic. I do not believe that whatsoever. If I had to guess, and once again, this is just my own opinion, I think it might have just not been intentional and nobody really gave it a second thought, which one, I feel like definitely the Hasbro team should have took notice of this and maybe thought, hey, this, could definitely cause some problems. Maybe we should move this button. So I really think that this was not done with any bad intentions necessarily from the toy company, but I do feel like if they actually furthered their steps into actually looking at the toy's design and just how that this button could have caused this issue, I think this could have totally been avoided if they had just taken some more time and actually looked at how this doll was designed and the sounds it was making when this button in this specific area was pressed. To me, it is really disappointing that nobody at the Hasbro Toy Company team did actually, at least think that maybe this could have been a possibility before releasing the doll, before releasing the initial design. And the reason I say that is because this is a toy company for children. And so I highly, highly believe that if you are working with children, you need to understand that some things, can come off weird, and you should have took more precautions to make sure that it would not have come off this way. So I am disappointed in that fact, but I don't necessarily think that this was planted. I don't think that it was meant to be disturbing. I think that it might have just been a design mistake that nobody caught because nobody in the company thought it was necessarily anything bad at the time, but obviously it isn't the best looking thing. And if you guys do want to read this article down below, it is from USA Today. I will have it linked if you want to read the whole thing, but I do want to read you their findings, USA Today's findings, because I agree with it. I'm going to read what their synopsis of the story is, what they believe. So it says, our research shows that the doll does have a giggle button located in an area that could be referred to as near its private parts. It would be misleading, however, to suggest the design was deliberately linked to grooming children for what. Hasbro says that the button's placement was not intentional, but recognizes that it may be perceived as inappropriate. We rate the claim that the doll was designed to groom children as partly false based on our research. Now, with all the evidence and the facts out of the way, let's talk about this. I've seen a lot of people obviously talking about the moms in this situation and saying that they have definitely overreacted. Do I think that they overreacted? Not necessarily. I think that they saw this and they saw it in a poor taste and wanted to just showcase their outrage for it, because genuinely it can come off in a not so child-friendly way. But I also do not agree with them that this is related to grooming. I see that their claims are saying that if we put this here, it'll teach kids that this spot is okay, and I think that's going a little bit too far. Personally, I don't think that this is anything to do with like grooming or anything with sex trafficking whatsoever. I don't think that most kids would look at it in that light, but I will say I do have to give kids more credit because they are not as quote unquote dumb as we think. Kids know more than they let on a lot of the times. I was a kid once. I knew things that I was not supposed to. But I also want to emphasize that what these parents are talking about is a good thing. I do just want to say that I think it was a great thing that they did bring this to light, because we need to understand, and I see a lot of people in comment sections, especially regarding these moms, saying that they blew this up out of nowhere and it's not that big of a deal and they're just trying to like get a cash grab and like get money. I don't believe that. Genuinely, I think it was a good thing that they brought this up, because you have to understand that while some children might not view this in a bad way, some children might not even think at all about this button and anything to do with that. There are people out there, and they are not good people. And once again, it's still mind-boggling to me that the designers did not see anything wrong with this and that they allowed this toy to become manufactured and sent out. It mind boggles me. I do not understand how, as an adult, you could see this and think, oh, that's not that big of a deal. Even though we cater towards children, that's not big of a deal. You cannot deny that this is just a weird button to be where it is on this doll. And you can also not deny the fact that when you press this button, it does make unsettling noises. And honestly, my verdict is that I do think that this was inappropriate for the company to release this doll, having it be in this condition. Once again, I don't think that this was intentional. I think it was just a part of this doll that was overlooked by some adults who didn't think anything of it. But once again, you are a toy company. You are catering towards children. You need to be a little bit more careful when it comes to things like this. Once again, I still see a lot of comments saying that this was completely blown out of like proportion and it wasn't meant to be inappropriate. And I think that you really need to just like take a step back and understand just how creepy this could have been, and understand that there are not great people in the world. But let me know how you guys feel about this situation. Do you think that this doll was in fact inappropriate, or do you think that it's just blown out of proportion? But anyway, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you think that this was just completely blown out of proportion and it's not necessarily that big of a deal? Or do you think that this was a big deal and that you think that this might have not been the best way to release this doll in this state? Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this situation down below. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, check out my gaming channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!